Yo, nope, that's not it. Yo, welcome to my channel. So if you're watching this video, the odds are you're probably not subscribed, because last time I checked YouTube analytics, the numbers were something like, 99.9% of you are not subscribed. So please hit the freaking button, or else. Try that again. So I swear, if you do not hit the button, you do not want to know what's coming to you. That's not good either. Please hit the button. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. Alright, kind of going into this video on a whim. Last week I made a video about Pokemon and the new games that are coming out. This week, I don't know why, but I just kind of got the urge to make something more about Nintendo news. So as you know, it seems like every other week. It's probably longer than that, but we get somebody talking about the Switch Pro, or an upgraded Switch model. Normally, you know, if you look at like IGN, they call it Switch Pro. I think basically they're kind of comparing it to like the PS4 Pro, like it's a pretty common name for an upgraded version of a console. Now, I've got a lot of thoughts about this. I don't know where to begin. Nintendo is someone who, it's a company that never plays by the rules. They never quite do what you would expect. They come out with the Wii, which is a massive success, and then they say, well, let's make a new console, call it the Wii U, and its main function is a tablet, and it bombs. So while it seemingly would be obvious to most people for Nintendo to just release the Switch with better hardware, make it $399, $499, I mean, it doesn't need to be as powerful as the Series X or the PlayStation 5. You know, like, that seems like a no-brainer to most people. So I think that's what people expect when they see articles from Bloomberg talking about debuting an upgraded model of its Switch console. This was from 2020, so these rumors have been around for a while. I have a Wall Street Journal article. This is talking about a Switch Pro in 2019. It's talking about 2 new Switch models. The new gaming consoles will be released as early as this summer. So the Wall Street Journal posted an article thinking that the gaming consoles, plural, would be released as early as summer of 2019. That, first of all, was just ridiculous. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. I don't have access to the full article because I'm not subscribed to the Wall Street Journal. Thankfully, like somebody like IGN's, you know, like they always point out that like analysts are pretty conflicted. Some people think it's going to happen. Some people don't think it's going to happen. Now, Switch Pro in the sense of like a significant hardware revision in the sense of much better specs in the console, like especially like graphics card, processor, hard drive. I just really don't expect to be that big of a leap. Now, I do think there will be hardware revisions of the Switch. We've already got the Switch Lite. We've got the base Switch. They already revised the original Switch one time, and I think they improved the battery life and maybe like it wasn't anything massive. I know that the battery they changed kind of, but not really very much. All right, like let's take for example, I don't know what is happening to my webcam right now. Why did I switch from my phone? Okay. Let's take for example the Nintendo DS. The Nintendo DS family of consoles. They made the Nintendo DS. Okay. And then they came out with the Nintendo DS Lite. Okay, we're seeing a trend. Now, the DS was released 2004. The DS Lite came out in 2006. So, let's see, when did the Switch Lite come out? The Nintendo Switch Lite release date was 2.5 years after the original Switch came out. If you look at the Nintendo DS came out November 2004. Switch Lite, or the DS Lite, came out March 2006. So this was more like a year and a half. But still like fairly comparable. Naming almost identical. Now the Nintendo DSi, which was basically a DS with a camera, that didn't come out until 2008. It was the third iteration of the Nintendo DS, called a rival to the PSP. And again, instead of going for some crazy upgraded version of the DS, which sold insanely well, had some classic games on it. You're talking like Brain Age was crazy. Everybody was playing Brain Age. Super Mario 64 DS, still a weird game to me, playing a 3D platformer with the D-pad, but whatever. Some classic Pokemon games. We're talking Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Soul Silver, Heart Gold, Black, White, Black 2, White 2. This console was insane. And then instead of going for something with better graphics, they released a slim version of it. And then they released another slim version of it before they finally released something with bigger screens, which was in, I'm not sure when it even came out. Let's see. 2009. So we're talking 5 years for the Nintendo DS before it got something with significantly larger screens. But you can look at the 3DS as well too. The Switch already isn't quite following the 3DS's model of hardware iterations. There hasn't been there wasn't a 3DS Lite, and the 3DS had a lot of weird variations. You're talking the Nintendo 2DS, abbreviated to 2DS. This was the Nintendo 2DS. What in God's name were they thinking? Looks ridiculous. New Nintendo 2DS XL. They had the new Nintendo 3DS. The new Nintendo 3DS XL. Nintendo, dude. This was the dark days of Nintendo when they were coming out with the Wii U, the new Nintendo 3DS, new Nintendo 3. I don't know what these names are in Japan. Maybe they make more sense in the Japanese language, and then when they got translated over, I just don't know if they gave it enough thought or something like that, but it's just such a cluster. But I think they've learned from this time, and that's why I think it's probably going to look similar to the DS blueprint. You had the Lite come out 2 years later, give or take. It was a year and a half. DSi, I think that, we won't get an equivalent of that. And then Nintendo DSi XL. I think basically we'll go Switch Lite, we'll get a Switch XL. Will we get a Switch Pro? I don't think so. I think what we're going to get is a larger Switch with marginally improved graphics. But I think, and I know some people will probably debate me on this, I think the difference is that the Switch lifecycle isn't going to be as long as a normal console lifecycle. It might be cut a year or two short. And I think we're going to get a Switch 2. But the thing with the Switch 2, and the same thing happened with the Nintendo 2DS and 3DS, Switch games are still going to be developed for a while because the install base is going to be so large. And Switch games are going to be fully playable on the Switch 2. That's my personal theory. So kind of like how you could play 3DS games on or you could play DS games on the 3DS, or you could even look back to the playing, Game Boy games on the Game Boy Advance, or Game Boy Advance and Game Boy games on the DS. I think that that's kind of what we're going to be getting with the Switch 2, and I think that we'll probably get that in maybe 2023. I think would make the most sense to me. And I think that a Switch XL would likely come out this year. But would I call it a Switch Pro? No, absolutely not. It is not going to be, but so much better, I think. They don't need it to be. Everybody's 4K, 4K, 4K. Who the frick cares, dude? You could look at the numbers of the games that the Switch sells. it doesn't matter. Like, all you gotta do is make a slightly larger screen. I want them to redesign the Joy-Cons and put different analog sticks, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Maybe have it perform a little better. But like, also you can't, like, people want to get a Switch Pro and then they would expect, like what the Xbox Series X does to backwards compatible games, how like certain games will, like Microsoft will go in and update a certain game to where it, like, runs better without the developers doing anything. I don't think we're going to get that from Nintendo. I don't think they've got the money or the manpower or the desire to focus on something like that. All right, so that's my thoughts. I don't think we get a Switch Pro this year. I think we get a Switch XL. And I think that the Switch XL is going to have a larger screen. It will maybe run games marginally better. I don't think it's going to be a huge graphical leap. I would hope and pray to God that they release some sort of game with it. I mean, it's March and we haven't really heard anything about Breath of the Wild 2 this year, so it's probably not going to happen. But a man can dream. I just personally wouldn't go into this expecting but so much. And I know some people are. They're going to think that it's going to be like the equivalent of a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One X. And I just don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to release a Switch Pro. Or no. I think they're going to release a Switch XL. That's going to be the new $300 console. They'll bump down the original Switch to $250 and keep the Switch Lite at $200. The pricing may be a little off there. I don't know. We'll see. I'd have to think about it some more. They might even bump the original Switch down to $200 and the Switch Lite to $150 or something. But I don't know. I haven't really given that aspect of it, but so much thought. But please don't expect that much of Nintendo. Just enjoy their good game while they're here. Again, I mean, I'm not really like concerned about like us not having good Nintendo games for a while. I think we're in like kind of another golden age of Nintendo, but we could have the Wii U era all over again at any moment. So let's hope and pray that they don't release the Nintendo Switch U, because God save us all if that happens. Alright, hopefully this video didn't totally suck. I feel like my thoughts were kind of all over the place. I'm going to try and edit it together in a good way where all of my thoughts make a little bit more sense. I kind of hopped around from articles. I mean, I was really inspired by like a recent Bloomberg article that came out within the last week. I don't even think I pulled that one up. I didn't even read it, but they always call it the Switch Pro, and I just think that that's not what it's going to be. So yeah. I think anybody who watched, again, I apologize if my webcam kind of is like jacked up sometimes. I had to go in and fix it in the middle and it still kind of looks like trash. Switch back to my C920 and it's just awful. But yeah, I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to leave comments below if you so desire to. Don't forget to subscribe, and peace out.